Welcome to Historical Studies. In this video, we explore the mystery of the missing nuclear submarine, or at least what we know about it. In May 1968, during the Cold War, a U.S. nuclear submarine disappeared in the Atlantic Ocean without any warning. It was called USS Scorpion. On board were 99 crew members. Then suddenly, it was gone. The Navy waited for it to return, but it never did. There was no clear distress signal, no simple explanation, and no immediate answer. As the days passed, the questions grew. Did the submarine suffer a serious mechanical problem? Did one of its own torpedoes go wrong? Or was something else involved? Years later, the wreck was found deep under the sea. But even then, the mystery was not fully solved. That is why the story of USS Scorpion still fascinates people today. In 1968, the Cold War was still going strong. The United States and the Soviet Union were watching each other closely, especially at sea. Nuclear submarines were a key part of that struggle because they could move quietly, track enemy forces, and remain submerged for long periods. That made them some of the most important military tools in the world. So when USS Scorpion disappeared, this was not seen as just another accident. It raised serious military questions right away. It also happened during a terrible year when several submarines from different countries were lost. USS Scorpion was a United States Navy attack submarine, built to move fast, stay hidden, and track enemy ships and submarines. It was part of the Skipjack class, one of the Navy's important nuclear-powered submarine groups during the Cold War. Because it used a nuclear reactor, it could stay underwater much longer than older submarines that depended more on surfacing. That made it a powerful tool for patrol, surveillance, and military missions. Scorpion was commissioned in 1960 and served in both the Atlantic and the Mediterranean before its final mission in 1968. By then, it was an experienced submarine with a trained crew and an important role in United States naval operations. In early 1968, USS Scorpion was sent on a deployment that took it across important Cold War waters. It operated in the Mediterranean, where American and Soviet forces often kept close watch on each other. After that part of the mission ended, the submarine began its trip back home to Norfolk, Virginia. At first, nothing seemed unusual from the outside. Scorpion was expected to cross the Atlantic and return on schedule. But somewhere during that trip, something went terribly wrong. The submarine sent its last known communication while heading west, and after that contact ended, there was no clear final message explaining an emergency, no full warning, no direct clue about what had happened. That lack of information is one reason this case became such a mystery. The submarine did not just sink in public view. It vanished between one message and the next. As USS Scorpion got closer to its expected return date, the Navy waited for the submarine to arrive in Norfolk. It never showed up. At first, there was still hope that there had been a delay or a communication problem. Submarines can be difficult to track, and silence was often part of their job. As more time passed, concern grew fast. The submarine was officially listed as overdue, and search efforts began. This was no small matter. A nuclear-powered submarine with 99 men on board was missing in the Atlantic. By that point, the Navy knew it was facing a possible disaster. Once the search began, the Navy faced a huge problem. The Atlantic Ocean is enormous, and a submarine can disappear without leaving much behind. Finding USS Scorpion was not going to be easy. Still, the search continued, using underwater listening data and other clues to narrow down where it might have gone down. Months later, the wreck was finally found deep on the ocean floor, far below the surface. This was a major discovery, but it did not end the mystery. The submarine had broken apart, and the damage raised new questions instead of giving one clear answer. Investigators could study the wreck, but they still could not say with complete confidence exactly what had caused the loss. That uncertainty remains a big part of the story. Even after the wreck was found, the Navy did not give one final, certain explanation for why USS Scorpion was lost. That is one of the main reasons the case still gets attention today. There were signs of a sudden and violent disaster, but the evidence was not enough to prove exactly how it started. In the end, the official position was careful. The Navy could study the wreck, review the mission, and examine possible causes, but it could not fully confirm one single answer. That left room for debate. Over the years, that debate has kept the mystery alive for historians, researchers, and the public. One possible explanation is that USS Scorpion suffered a serious mechanical failure. Submarines are extremely complex machines, and even a small problem can become deadly if it happens deep underwater. A leak, a failure in an important system, or a sudden loss of control could quickly turn into a disaster. Some people believe the submarine may have had a problem that caused it to dive too deep. If that happened, the pressure from the ocean could have crushed the hull. Others think flooding in a key part of the submarine may have started a chain of events the crew could not stop in time. This theory makes sense because accidents do happen, even in advanced military vessels. But the evidence was never strong enough to prove that mechanical failure was the exact cause. Another well-known theory is that one of Scorpion's own torpedoes may have played a role in the disaster. This idea has been discussed for years because submarines carry dangerous weapons, and any serious malfunction could be catastrophic. If a torpedo activated by accident started running the wrong way, or created some kind of onboard emergency, the crew may have had only seconds to respond. Supporters of this theory believe a weapon problem could explain why the loss seemed so sudden. It could also help explain why there was no clear distress call. In a fast-moving emergency underwater, there may not have been time. Still, this remains only a theory. Investigators could not prove for certain that a torpedo accident happened. It is one possible answer, but not a confirmed one. The most dramatic theory is that USS Scorpion was lost because of Soviet action. Since this happened during the Cold War, some people have wondered if the submarine was involved in a dangerous encounter with Soviet forces before it disappeared. That idea has kept the story alive for decades because it adds the possibility of secrecy, military tension, and a cover-up. But there is a big problem with this theory. It has never been proven. There is no confirmed public evidence that Soviet forces attacked Scorpion. A lot of the claims are based on suspicion, rumor, or later speculation. So while this theory gets attention, it should be treated carefully. It is part of the mystery, but it is not an established fact. Even with all the theories, a few facts are clear. USS Scorpion disappeared in May 1968 during its return trip across the Atlantic. There were 99 men on board, and all were lost. The submarine was later found deep on the ocean floor. That much is not in dispute. What is still unclear is the exact cause. We know the loss was sudden. We know the Navy investigated it, and we know that no single explanation was ever fully proven. That is the key point in this story. The facts are real, but the final answer is still missing. That is what separates the Scorpion case from an ordinary naval accident. The loss of USS Scorpion still matters because it was more than just a military accident. It was a human tragedy that took 99 lives and left families without clear answers. It also became part of a bigger Cold War story, when fear, secrecy, and military tension shaped how people understood events like this. The case still gets attention because it sits between fact and mystery. We know the submarine was lost. We know where it was found, but we still do not know exactly why it happened. That unanswered question keeps historians, naval experts, and viewers interested. In many ways, Scorpion is remembered not just for how it served, but for how it disappeared. More than 50 years later, USS Scorpion is still one of the most unsettling submarine losses in modern history. We know the submarine left on its mission. We know it never came back. We know the wreck was found deep in the Atlantic. But the final reason it was lost remains uncertain. That is what gives this story its lasting power. It is not only about military history. It is also about unanswered questions, lost lives, and the limits of what even great investigations can solve. In the end, that is why this case still fits the title: The Mystery of the Lost Nuclear Submarine. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.